said it to you and I said it to Felicia on Twitter. I think it's the one time when Senpai noticed me, as it were, is Tabletop, one of my favorite TV shows of the last 10 years. That kind of community engagement of playing a tabletop game with somebody, there's really nothing like it. It's such a lovely show. To kick things off, what was the conception of tabletop like? Was it Felicia going, hey Will?
Basically, Felicia said, hey, we're basically starting our own network, and Google's going to pay for it. Do you want to do a show on the network? And I said, yeah, I would love it. I will always work with you. And she said, so I was thinking maybe you did a show where you like review video games, or maybe a show where you review tabletop games. And I said, the thing about video games is that there's just so much toxicity in video gaming. I don't really want to wade into that. There's marginally less toxicity in tabletop gaming. And that's one of the great loves of my life. But reviewing games is kind of boring. Like, the best way to show how games are fun is to play the games. And we could have our friends who are famous come and play the games with us, and then people who don't care about games, but care about, like, Brandon Routh will come and watch him on the show, and then they'll see how great games are. And then people who play games already will be like, hey, my friends who don't play games, come watch, and you can see why I spend all this time playing games. And it all just, like, exploded out of me in one fully formed, like, thought. And that was the show. And it's very important that the world knows this. Tabletop exists primarily because of the work of some amazing women. Tabletop exists because of Felicia Day, Kim Evey, Sherry Bryant, and Jen Arnold. There were some of us dudes that worked on it, but like, tabletop exists because women believed in me and helped me take this idea I had and turn it into something that was better than what was in my head. And I'm really grateful for them, and I'm really grateful for the trust that they put in me, and the support they gave me while we figured out what the show was going to be.
It's a wonderful thing that just by chance, sometimes I'll be in a Best Buy, and some enterprising nerd who works at Best Buy just sets it looping episodes of Tabletop on display TV.
Early on, somebody at Google tried to stamp down on that, and tried to be like, we don't want game shops to show this because we're not getting our 5 cents. And I was like, so eat a dick.
I mean, good advice,
right? And I think it's great advice. And then I went online and I said, as the co-creator and executive producer of the show, as long as you're not like as long as you're not making DVDs and then selling them, which would be unlicensed, if you have a game shop or a library or a bookstore and you just want to put it on in your store to show people how great games are, you have my permission to do it. And I was really happy to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, that permission still stands.
Another really wonderful thing that actually is much more recent that you've done, there's this really great essay that you wrote on Medium that I think touched a lot of us who have issues of depression, issues of feelings of anxiety and so on. One of the things that, as a writer, that I've admired so much about you is how incredibly open you are, and how unafraid you are to feel and be welling up as I'm saying this. How open you are with your fans about, Will Wheaton the human being.
Yeah.
You're not Will Wheaton the media property. You're Will Wheaton the person, and it's okay to be a person.
I do that for two primary reasons. I spent my entire childhood feeling like a commodity. I spent the formative years of my life not feeling like a person. I spent the formative years of my life feeling like I was an object, and I was like a hand puppet for other people. And the other reason that I talk about this stuff is tied into that. I'm doing the very best that I can to be the person who I needed. I'm trying my very best to be for the world the person who was never there for me, so that other people won't have to suffer as long as I did. So that other people won't be ashamed or embarrassed or confused if they happen to live with mental illness, which, as it turns out, a lot of us do. And one of the messages that I want to share with everyone is that there's nothing shameful about living with depression. Hi, my name's Will. I have depression and I have anxiety. I take medication twice a day. I see a therapist about every 2 weeks. I have really bad days, and I have days that aren't so bad. That is my life. That is totally normal. There's nothing to be ashamed about in that. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. society have to get past that idea that our baby boomer parents still embrace.
Everybody has to suddenly be Conan the Barbarian at all times of the day.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's first of all, that is murder on your knees. And when you get older, you're not going to be able to maintain that muscle mass. It's just going to turn to fat, and you're just going to be bummed.
Well, I was legitimately a fan of Wesley Crusher as a kid because I saw myself, the insufferable nerd, just annoying the crap out of every adult in the room. I got to high school and realized, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Wesley Crusher isn't cool. Wesley Crusher isn't the coolest character on the show. You've written about, you've talked about, the trials and tribulations of having that kind of mantle thrust on your shoulders, a type of role that wasn't in the Star Trek canon before then, where you were an audience surrogate for a bunch of young kids like me who were seeing themselves on the screen. What has it been like doing all of these conventions for all these years and having people come up to you and relate to you what Wesley Crusher meant to them personally?
My depression gets in between me and that kindness. My depression tells me that I don't deserve that, and I struggle with it. And I work real hard to accept that kindness, and I work real hard to honor the love that someone gives me when they share that story with me. In the early years of Next Generation, people were so cruel to me, and it's when people say the world is bad now because of social media, it was just as bad when I was 15 years old. It's just easier for people to be terrible now. And it was really hurtful, and I internalized it, and I believed it. So when people come to me now, we're all adults now, right? And I meet people who are like, I am a scientist, I am an engineer, I am a teacher, I'm a librarian, I am career military. Like, I chose to do this because I thought Wesley was awesome, and I was inspired by someone who was like me. I feel like maybe it was worth it. Like, maybe it was worth it for me to take the brunt of cruelty from tiny-minded people who didn't see me as a person and saw me as that thing that the adults in my life treated me as. Maybe it's worth it because that character I portrayed really did inspire a generation of people to do awesome things with their life. The way Jimmy Goon inspired people to become engineers, the way LeVar Burton inspired people to become engineers. Like, it's hard to wrap my head around the enormity of it. It feels good. I am genuinely grateful for the kindness, and I am still struggling to let that kindness get past the thing in my brain that tells me I suck at everything.
Now, I know that I think it was just a couple weeks ago, I was at a convention with Marina Sirtis and Michael Dorn. They have kind of a two-person show that they kind of do. I mean, it's a traveling carnival with the two of them.
Yeah.
Who of your TNG castmates that you run into at these shows, have you developed a kind of relationship that you wouldn't have predicted when you were on the show, when you were, the kid on the show?
We are all family. And you can see that if you ever see any of us at shows. They are the family that I don't have biologically. I don't have the unconditional love of my biological family like I have with my Star Trek family. And they mean so much to me. And I have a different kind of relationship with every single one of them. The relationship that I'm closest to Fred's. I don't know why.
It's because you're looking for his part in a reboot, right? You're all but openly campaigning for it, right?
So here's a funny story about that. My friend's daughter is 9, and he's been introducing her to Next Generation. And he was like, Uncle Will is on this show. And I said, now when you started introducing your daughter, when you were introducing her to Star Trek, you didn't start at season 1, right? Like, you skipped to season 2. Like, you didn't make her endure the first season. She's 9, buddy. I would have to call protective services. And he said he showed her a few. So he showed her Encounter at Farpoint, and then he showed her a couple other ones, and then moved into the second season. And he said they had seen about 6 episodes in the second season before he realized that she thought I was Riker. Because think about it, you're 9. His name is Will. and he has a beard, and your dad's like, your Uncle Will is on this show. And she has such a hard time wrapping her head around.
She doesn't process you as a kid.
Doesn't understand. Like, I remember when I was a little boy, when I was probably like 7, John Wayne died. And one of our local TV stations was like running a John Wayne marathon. And I did not understand how it was possible to show all these movies of him when he was dead. I just didn't get it. I was like, how does that work? The relationship that is most surprising to me is my relationship with Patrick Stewart. He always treated me like a peer, and he always treated me like I deserved to be there, and he always treated me with kindness and love and respect. And what is most surprising to me is that still goes on. That I guess he must genuinely feel that way, which is awesome and hard to accept. I have this like really good goalie called depression, and every now and then a shot gets passed, and I'm like, yay, the red light of self-esteem is gone.
Well, Old Baldy, as Brent likes to call him.
We all call him that.
Yeah.
Well, we call him Sir Old Baldy.
Sir Old Baldy. His Majesty. He's got a CBS All Access show coming.
I know, I'm so excited for it.
I mean, is the door open in your mind? If they want you for something Trek related, would you go back to that well?
Probably. I feel like I've done everything that there was to do with Wesley Crusher, right? That, I mean, he's done. I love him, I love the character, I love that part of my life, but I don't know. It would take a real special writer to write him as an adult and make him an adult character that I think is interesting.
Almost sounds like a challenge to all of you writers out there.
That said, if I have the opportunity to go work with my family again, if I have the opportunity to go be surrounded by the love and support of those people who raised me again, I would be there so fast you would see a blue shift.
We got a couple Q&A microphones set up in the audience. I want to make sure that we make this about you because you are the reason that we're here. I've got a couple more that I just got to ask him because I'm so selfish and terrible, as you've all gotten accustomed to this weekend. There's a big old nerd who sniped something from you on a little television program called The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Big old nerd named Mark who just snatched something right out of your clutches before you got to do it. What was it like being on set during this momentous episode of this, I mean, still record-breakingly popular show?
It was amazing. It was, if you can imagine what it is like I mean, he's Mark Hamill. I mean, like, I can't, it's so enormous. I'll tell you a quick story. The day that we got together to do the table read of the episode, when we do the Big Bang Theory, we start out with our script and we sit around a big conference room table and everybody reads it, and it lets the writers hear out of us the dialogue so they know what's working and they know what they want to change. Normally at the table read, I sit between Kevin Sussman and Simon Helberg on this side of the table. On this particular day, my name card was not where it usually is. It was on this side of the table. And one of the assistant directors says, "Some idiot put you on the other side of the table. I'm sorry, we can't change it." And I was like, all right, whatever. So I go and sit down next to Mark Hamill. My friend who said some idiot had moved it for me. So in this episode, Mark Hamill, I come up to Mark Hamill, and he goes, "Who are you?" And in the table read, Mark Hamill stops. He stops the table read. He, in front of the network and the studio and everyone, and he says,
when you're Luke Skywalker, you can do that.
Yeah. When you're the Joker, you can do that. And he says, "I just want everyone to know, of course I know who you are." And I was just like, I'm done. This is great. Take me now. He was everything you wanted to be. He was, you know, there's nothing worse than meeting somebody you think is great and it turns out they're kind of a shit. And it's a huge bummer. It's a giant Adam Baldwin-sized bummer.
And two random words.
I was just picking the size of an asshole. And Mark is amazing. Mark is so kind and so funny and so genuine and so generous with his time, and I loved it, and I'm so grateful that I got that. If you had told little boy me, 6 years old, going to see Star Wars in the theater, if you had told teenager me, losing his mind over the Joker on Batman, that someday I'm going to work with Mark Hamill, and Mark Hamill knows I exist.
Yes, I've heard of you.
I would have been like, that will never happen. Stop telling me these terrible lies.
Something else, to me, very interesting that's happened over the last year. A mutual friend of ours, Ernie Klein, wrote a little book that, a little-known director named Steven Spielberg turned into a movie.
I have high hopes for that kid. I think he's going to do some great stuff.
Yeah, he might eventually make it.
Yeah.
What has it been like watching something like that happen in such close proximity to it? Because you guys have been friends for years.
Yeah, I kind of, sort of helped discover Ernie. 100 million years ago, he had done a spoken word piece about growing up in the 80s, and he put it on a record called Ultraman is Airwolf. And I read it in 2000, maybe 2001, and I submitted a link to it to fark.com. And what's up from a one farter in there? I hear you over there.
Let's hear it for Florida man over here.
And I submitted it, and the link was approved, and it blew him up. And a lot of people found out about him, and it helped him get discovered. And when I heard that Ready Player One was coming out, he was like, I don't know if you remember me, but you wrote a thing about me. And I was like, of course I remember you. He said, I think you'll like this book. Would you mind reading it? I was like, I would love to read it. And then he said, so would you read the audio version of it? I was like, yeah, of course I'll do the audio version of it. And check this out, you guys. When the New York Times debuted their bestseller lists of audiobooks, I debuted at number 1. Ever since.
Nice.
I actually have some connective tissue for this.
Yeah.
At South by Southwest this year, when they premiered the movie and Steven Spielberg just magically showed up.
Yeah.
What did he say was the origin story of him taking the project in the first place? It was, my wife, Kay Capshaw, by the way, I'm not Steven Spielberg, I'm Kay Capshaw's husband, was listening to this audiobook of this book, Ready Player One, and she said, this guy reading this book, he's great, he's a wonderful actor, and the book's great too.
Wow.
And just
I wonder if Steven Spielberg knows that I occasionally work as an actor. Because that feels sort of like a successful audition.
I feel like they filled the cast for West Side Story yet.
Yeah.
You could get your dancing shoes on.
I could.
I mean, that could be an experience.
It would be bad for everyone involved, but it would very much be an experience. Let's take your questions.
Yes.
Let's start here.
Hi, Will.
Hi.
So my question, go back to Star Wars.
Yeah.
You were one of my favorite books from a certain point of view.
Thank you.
I was just wondering, how did you get involved in the book, and what was it like being part of the 40 years of New Hope?
For those of you who don't know, last year a book was published called Star Wars from a Certain Point of View. A bunch of authors were given an opportunity to tell stories about lesser-known characters in the Star Wars universe, specifically in the original Star Wars. And we could tell any story we wanted, as long as it didn't conflict with existing canon. So that was the pitch that I got in an email. And generally speaking, I don't do work for hire. I want to own my material, I want to own my work and own my rights. But I made an exception for that because I love Star Wars so much. And they said you can have 2,500 words, which is not a lot of space to tell a story. And you can pick anyone you want. And I said, I want to pick that guy with the binoculars and the bucket on Yavin. And I call him Yavin Bucket Guy. And I told his story. And I told his, like, why is he there? Why does he? Because they don't need to be there. Why is the slaughter there? And I told his story. And I don't know if you've looked south across the border, but things suck in America right now. And I was feeling that. And I wrote a story about people who, in the face of rising fascism, instead of resisting, take the easy way out and sell out their friends and neighbors because they're afraid. He doesn't do that. It's what happens to him because of it. Which you know because you read it. I'm mostly telling the rest of the movie. And it was a wonderful gift and an incredible honor to be part of that novel. And it's wonderful for me to be part of. I'm part of Star Wars now, and that's kind of cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you were amazing as Chaos on Leverage.
Oh, thanks.
I was just wondering what it was like to work on that set with all of those actors.
It was really fun. They had a really good time. They all knew one another very well. They had a very great rhythm. But one of the things that I loved about that show, and it's what I loved about Eureka, and it's what I love about The Big Bang Theory, they made me feel like I had been a regular cast member from day one when I walked onto that set. And I'll cherish that forever. Thanks for your question.
Hey, Will.
Hi.
So I have a question about your dice curse.
You okay?
Well, bringing up painful memories now.
Now, I don't want the worst story. I want the most memorable story. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It could be something good.
Yesterday, I was trying to explain to someone that the dice curse is real. And they were like, no, it's not. Are you the guy with the 3d6?
No, I'm the guy with 27 dice potting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're that guy. I'm so sorry. So the 3d6 is real. It's a 3d20. So a fellow brought me 3 20-sided dice, and I was like, watch this. And I rolled the 3 of them, and it rolls 6, 6, 6. So I was like, tail Sagan. That's probably my most memorable.
Awesome. Thanks.
Speaking of dice, I'm the one you got 20 on a D20 for.
Oh, yeah, it happens from time to time. You'll notice that I rolled a 20 on a D20 when it meant absolutely nothing.
Fair. So speaking of dice though.
Yeah.
The tabletop Titan Screen,
Yes.
is there any chance we could see a season 2?
I think it's really unlikely. I can't get into the details of why I am no longer able or willing to work with Legendary Digital Entertainment. But unless there are significant changes there and some significant retroactive changes as it relates to contracts with me, I won't be doing any more work with them.
Okay.
Thanks for your question.
Hello, Will.
Hi.
So I know before you get a lot of questions about Star Trek and Stand By Me, but I actually have a question about Flubber.
Okay.
What was it like working with Robin Williams?
It was amazing. Robin was just an awesome person. He was an amazing human, and my clearest memory of working on that movie is we would do the scene as it was written from the script, and then Robin would say, "No, let's just play," and we would just improvise stuff. And I was an improviser at the time. I was doing improv with LA Theater Sports and at the Acme Comedy Theater, and I got to improvise with Robin Williams. And God, how old was I?
It was 1997.
24,
23, 24 years ago.
25? I'm asking my wife, isn't it? Yeah, so I was like, so I was 25. For me, 25-year-old, not really knowing, not having a ton of confidence, to be given the gift from Robin Williams to feel like I can perform with him was amazing. And I miss him. I'm really sad that he's no longer with us. Thanks for your question.
No problem.
Hi.
I was wondering, what's your favorite Star Wars movie?
My favorite Star Wars movie is The Empire Strikes Back. And then my second favorite Star Wars movie is Rogue One. You're welcome.
Hi, Mr. Wee.
Hi. Oh, you with the epic cosplay.
Thank
It's
you.
amazing.
That means so much coming from you. I spent 3 years working on it and it's
Well,
still in
it
progress.
super duper shows and it's incredible.
I mean, not just one light source, we got stuff all over the place.
Yeah, well, you've got warp cells on your arms and the amazing stars in your parasol. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, you know it's great. I don't have to keep telling you that.
Thank you so much.
Firstly, you and Talos and Jaffe coexisting prevent the singularity from happening.
Oh, thank you so very much. We're doing our best.
I wanted to ask you, so I've heard so much about how much of a romp everyone on the set of The Next Generation had.
Yes.
I was wondering what your favorite story was from the sets.
There was this moment in the first season, we were filming when Tasha Yar gets killed. We were filming Denise Crosby's like holographic, funeral thing. And they had built this little hill on the stage and covered it with actual grass. It was really beautiful and pastoral, and they put a big backdrop behind it, a big beautiful blue sky. And it just, you looked like you were just like in the Alps somewhere. It was incredible. All of us are standing up on that hill. And it's an emotional day for us because we're saying goodbye to Denise. We're all standing up there, like, waiting for Patrick to come from his dressing room. And then Patrick comes into the stage, and he starts at the bottom of this hill, and he runs up the hill, and then he twirls around at the top of the hill, the crest of the hill, like Julie Andrews. And he sings "The Hills Are Alive." It was really funny, and it was funny, and it was disarming. Like, nobody expected that. And it provided this wonderful, pressure release for everyone on a super emotional day. I could sit here for the rest of the day and recount things that happened on Star Trek, but that's the first one that comes to my mind when you ask me that question.
Thank you. I hope you have a very nice day.
Thanks, likewise.
What was your favorite part in Sheldon's wedding, Big Bang?
My favorite part of Sheldon's wedding was when Penny tells Mrs. Fowler to just shut up. And Sheldon's mom stands up and starts clapping. I've done almost 20 episodes of The Big Bang Theory, and that is the first and only time I had to bite down on my mouth so I wouldn't laugh because it was so funny. Thanks for your question.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I would like to take you back to your Star Trek Next Generation days.
Okay.
You were...
I would like that too because I was young and I wasn't flabby, my back didn't hurt when I stood up.
Welcome to middle age.
I felt this emotion called optimism.
Just slingshot you around a sun with
That's perfect! Yes! Go ahead, take me back, let's go.
I have had the pleasure of seeing your co-stars together on stage, and the chemistry between them is very obvious.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, never had the pleasure of seeing you with them.
Yeah.
So what I would like to know is how you felt that spending 7 years backstage with your co-stars, how did that affect your future career, or how do you feel that it influenced your future career?
The actors and the way that they treated me shaped a lot of who I became as a person because they instilled positive values in me. Honesty and a good hard work ethic, and being around actors exposed me to being empathetic and to be to be a kind and caring person. I got that from my castmates. I don't have terrific self-esteem, but the parts of my self-esteem that are good came from them. It's not really the actors, but the producers, Rick Berman in particular, that really affected the rest of my career. I had an opportunity to do a feature film in between seasons 3 and 4, I think. And Rick Berman said that I couldn't go do that film because the first episode of the season was all about Wesley Crusher, and I needed to be back to work on the show. And I was like, okay, I can't do the film, I get it. And then a few days before we began production on that season, he wrote me out of the episode completely. And it was such a terrible, cruel, sabotaging of my career, of my life. Studio says, yeah, he did that so that you wouldn't be a movie star. If you were a movie star, you were going to cost them more money, and he didn't want that. He just wanted to control you. And that's been a theme in my life of like powerful people trying to control me and treat me like a commodity, like I said last time. And that made me want to not be part of Star Trek. Because I didn't want to work for someone who had so little regard for me as a human being that they would treat me in a way that would wreck the rest of my career. That changed the trajectory of my life profoundly. If I had done that film, I probably would have been. It was a great movie, and I would have been really good at it. Because I didn't do that movie. I left Star Trek the next year, and then I turned 18, and I didn't have to be there anymore. I wanted to leave and do what normal kids do, and like go to college and go have a regular job. And in that process, I discovered that maybe I don't want to be an actor. Maybe I want to be a writer. Maybe I don't need to feel unhappy all the time because people are telling me I'm not good enough for something. Maybe I should pursue something that I love, that makes me feel happy. So it's one of those things where at the time it felt like the worst thing that had ever happened to me. But on the long timeline trajectory of my life, I have a novel coming out next year. And I would not have ever done that if I had had the success as an actor that I was poised to have before Rick Berman, in an act of petty sabotage, took it all away from me. It's kind of a heavy answer for not having a question.
I appreciate your honesty. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Damaris, and my question is, have you ever taken like a probability test where you rolled 100 d20s and recorded the results just to see how bad your luck can be?
Yeah, it's called When I Played on Critical Role. I roll statistically improbably bad. I have accepted that. I'm sorry, I don't have a better answer for you.
I can understand that happens as well.
Thanks for your question. Hi.
Having had such a varied career, for lack of a better word, you've got a novel coming out, you've done writing in a number of different genres and across different venues and blah, 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 etc., etc. Because your career spans so many different sorts of projects, to what extent do you kind of have to prioritize certain things over others? Have there been times when you've had to, setting aside the producer issue, when there's somebody steering you a particular way, making you give things up, have there been times when you've been in control of what project you can do next that you had to give up on something, or at the very least set it aside for a long time in order to do something else that you like just as much but which is important?
Yeah, this actually happened to me recently. Within the last year, I realized, and this is before I started writing this novel, I realized that I was diving a half an inch deep into 100 things instead of diving all the way into one thing. And part of that was my brain just trying to protect me from fear of failure. And when I realized that I could take all of these ideas that I have and set them aside and focus on one of them and bring it all the way through from idea to thing, it gave me a sense of confidence and freedom to just follow my heart and do the thing that I want to do instead of doing the thing that I think other people want me to do. I cannot point to a specific project that I was like, no, I can't do that because it's going to get in the way of things. I've never had that luxury. But I have, as a writer, very recently decided to focus on a thing until it's done and keep the other ideas in a journal and keep them on the whiteboard in my office. And just know that, like, cool, when this novel is out, I can get to work on the supernatural horror collection.
Looking forward to the supernatural horror selection.
Yeah, thanks, me too. It's fun.
Hi. Is it hard to be yourself on The Big Bang Theory?
It used to be. For a long time, it felt real weird that they would say, now Leonard and Penny and Will Wheaton, and I'd go, oh, what? And they were talking about the character. They weren't talking about me, the person. And it took a while for me to get used to playing a character who has the same name and looks the same as me. But we're different. Will Wheaton on The Big Bang Theory isn't married. Will Wheaton on The Big Bang Theory is way more cool and confident than I am.
Will Wheaton on The Big Bang Theory violates Wheaton's law.
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah, Will Wheaton on The Big Bang Theory is kind of a jerk sometimes. Will Wheaton, who I am, we'll call him Will Will Wheaton Prime is shy and awkward and full of anxiety and is not cool. Thank you.
This is another Big Bang Theory question. So how did you feel about your feud with Sheldon through the mini episodes? What was it like?
I really loved it. It was fun because it was fun to work with Jim so much. It was fun to play to have that like antagonistic relationship. And the writers decided to change it because they felt that we had done everything we could do being nemesis, and that it would be more fun to be friends. And I remember Steve Moharo was the showrunner at the time. He now is the showrunner and co-creator of Young Sheldon, which is I think one of the best shows on television right now. Steve said to me, so Sheldon comes over and he's like, okay, we're buddies now. And it's like, now it's time for Will Wheaton to figure out like just how bad that really is. He was like, be careful what you wish for. I miss when we had that sort of trolling relationship, but I also love that in the continuity of that show, the Will Wheaton who exists in that universe has become friends with them, because I think in real life I would be friends with those characters, those people.
And what was your favorite moment on the set of Big Bang Theory?
When I walk out at the Star Wars premiere and say, live long and suck it. Nothing, there isn't even a close second. Thanks for your question.
Hi, you touched on this a little bit, but I was wondering if you could talk and give advice for being a creative person and a writer in The Darkest Timeline.
It's so hard. It can feel like people's lives are at stake, right? It is the official policy of my government to tear children away from their parents when they haven't done anything wrong. That's reprehensible. That is indefensible. It is a stain on every single American citizen that we're allowing that to happen. It's sick. We are destroying innocent lives for no reason. And there's no defense of it. It can feel like, who cares about my dumb little story? Like, why does it even matter that I do this? Here's why it matters. How many times do you want to turn off the news and just lose yourself in a story? Right? How many times a week do you want to just turn the world off and fall into a video game and just be there? That's why art matters. That's why creative storytelling matters. That's why the work that creative people do is important, especially in the darkest timeline. So, how do we get there? We have to accept that this is our calling. This is our job. This is what we need to do. We all have our roles to play in the revolution, right? For some people, it's standing on the barricades, and for other people, it's giving people who have come off the barricades a chance to recharge so that they can go back and keep fighting. And when we remember that, it will make it easier for us to get out of our own way and do the creative work that we absolutely love to do. And another thing to remember is that we are absolutely on the darkest timeline, but it's temporary. If you asked people who were living in 1968 if they ever thought the Vietnam War would end, they would have told you there's no way. I'm rewatching Carl Sagan's Cosmos, and it came out in 1980, and one of the things I love about it is it reminds me of being 9 years old and feeling like the world was safe. But that movie, I mean, that series was made when the United States and the Soviet Union had hundreds of megatons of, kilotons of nuclear weapons pointed at each other, and the world could have been destroyed many times over in a heartbeat. And I look back on that and think, well, we thought that would never end. We never thought the Berlin Wall would come down. We are more resilient than we think we are. And this is what's so important. There are more of us than there are of them. Like, we outnumber them by a factor of an enormous number. And we just have to remember that we'll get off this darkest timeline, but we have to do it. We got to do the work.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Small follow-up on that, because I'm also a bleeding heart liberal progressive. For people who don't feel like they can stand up and be strong, they can be right at the barricade, how would you encourage people who don't feel like they can necessarily take that kind of forefront role in being right there on the front line?
We support the people who do. We support them. Like we or in America, We support the American Civil Liberties Union, and we support Planned Parenthood, and we support RAIN, and we support organizations that are fighting against ICE and that are fighting against these terrible neo-fascist organizations. And we support them financially, and when you see somebody, I don't know if you have these Proud Boys pieces of shit in Canada, but we have them in America, and they're basically Klansmen without the white robes. When you see them, you make sure that they're not comfortable where they are. You see them in a place of business, you tell the management, you make them leave. They should never be comfortable anywhere. And that's like it or not, we're in a fight for the soul of our society. We have to decide what the future for our kids is going to be like. I don't want my grandkids to grow up normalizing fascism at all. I don't want my grandchildren to grow up with people telling them that the Holocaust didn't happen, right? Like we have to fight to make the world that we want to live in.
It's only that we need to wrap up, but Will, neither you nor I like leaving people disappointed. Do you think we can do one-word answers?
We're going to do the lightning round, which means that okay, this is what we'll do.
Your master of ceremonies, everyone.
Yes. So, yes or no questions. We're going to go back and forth, and I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to give you yes or no answers. Do not ask questions that are not yes or no questions. You will be humiliated. Here we go. Sir, get us kicked off with the lightning round. Go.
All right, to make it really fast. When you first started talking, you said that you were paying the weed that you wish you had when you were younger. Is there a point in your career where you decided that you wanted to become the person that you wish you had? Or?
Yes.
First off, I'm starting to.
That's not a yes or no question.
I'm doing this for my mother-in-law, who's a huge Big Bang Theory fan. So, technically, it's a two-part yes and no question.
You are breaking so many rules right now.
You're breaking every rule in the book. You're like, here's the book, I'm going to set it on fire.
Okay, first off, is there going to be a Big Bang Theory spin-off? And if so, are you going to be part of it?
I don't know. I don't know, so I can't give you the answer to that. I mean, that's technically a yes or no question, but my answer is I don't know.
Just pulled it out of the incinerator. Next.
Yeah.
No. Next.
How did your family like?
You're gonna get there, buddy. I believe in you.
We believe in you. As hard as we went on him, we love you.
Yeah.
After you've done this, what, like, are you gonna thinking of doing another thing?
Yes.
The Spider, would you come back to Critical Role Season 2?
Yes.
Did you steal anything from the Next Gen set? Props,
yes. Go. It's you.
I don't really care if this is gonna make me feel humiliated, but what kind of things do you guys do on tabletop? I don't care if it's gonna make me feel.
That is not a yes or no question, and I refuse to answer it on those grounds. Thank you, sir. I said good day.
You were an actor in all these movies and television shows, but there's one significant question. Were you the voice of Martin Brisby in The Secret of NIMH?
Yes. That was my very first voiceover job.
Just a question. You were not just in the Big Bang Theory, but also the voice of Aqualad in Teen Titans, and the voice of Perceptor in Transformers Titans Return.
Yes.
And Power of the Primes. Is that true?
Yes.
Did it get hard to nail the audition?
It was an offer. I didn't even have to audition. Steven Spielberg must have called them and said, "You gotta hear this guy's voice."
Did you like the Ready Player One movie?
Yeah, I did. So here's what I use more Wheaton. Here's what I had to think about that a little bit, because I actually prefer the book, but it's a lovely adaptation of the book. And it's a lovely film on its own. My son loves it so much, he's probably watched it 30 times. So the answer is yes. Good.
What happened that resulted in being on its last season and a lot of people...
No, I'm heartbroken that it's over.
Blame Jim Parsons for it?
Okay, so it's totally wrong to blame Jim. Jim has earned the right to go and do whatever roles he wants to do. Jim has given us 12 seasons of Sheldon Cooper. And Jim does not owe us anything. All Jim owes us is more great performances to the end of the season, and then he gets to go on and do whatever he wants to do, and bless him, I am so happy and excited for him to do that. I am heartbroken that the show is ending, because it means that in just a few months, I will never again, for the rest of my life, get to have the experience of going to Stage 25 at Warner Brothers and being with my friends for a week doing something that I love, and I am seriously heartbroken about that. But to anybody who blames Jim Parsons about that, Jim's not your bitch.
Hey, I bet you're working The Secret of Him. Is Don Bluth the great director?
I don't remember, I was only 8. Sorry. I have to add I don't know to the yes or no question. Okay, next question. Thank you.
Are you planning on doing any sort of run-up or sequel that you will be featuring or hosting, almost like a sequel to Tabletop?
Would you do something like Tabletop?
Yes.
Is there any plans to do it in the future?
I can't say.
Okay. Instead of yes, no, it's one-word answers. Yes, no.
I wanted to say that every time I roll a natural one, I hope that you have a really good role in my place.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. You must not roll many natural ones.
I'll try to roll more for you.
Thanks.
Do you have a game recommendation?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't have to form this into yes or no.
We'll
but
find a way.
Do you have a specific ritual that you do every time when you feel like you're drowning in anxiety?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So here are things that I do when my anxiety and depression get real bad and I feel like they're going to consume me and ruin my life. I grab my wife wherever she is and I tell her, I don't need you to see anything, I just need you to listen to me. I just need you to hear how I'm feeling because I gotta get it out. And thank God she does. She listens to me and she supports me and she hugs me and she lets me cry on her and she is the best part of being me. If you don't have an enemy in your life, other things that I do, I take a walk. I snuggle and love my dogs. I make sure that I've eaten a good meal. If I haven't taken a shower or a bath that day, I do that. These are all things that mental health professionals tell you to do because they break the cycle of depression and anxiety. And another thing that we who live with mental illness have to do is we have to remember to be gentle with ourselves. We have to talk to ourselves. We have a voice inside our head. And when you have depression and anxiety, the voice inside your head tells you you're terrible, it tells you you're stupid, it tells you nobody else feels this way. When someone tells you something nice, it tells you that they're not telling you the truth. What we have to do is silence that voice, and we have to talk to ourselves the way we talk to people we love. We have to treat ourselves the way we treat our dogs and our partners. And when we can commit to that, it can help us break the Ouroboros of depression that runs through our heads. Last question, go.
The public torching a whole separate rule book by coming up a second time.
Oh, you super are! What the hell, man? Very villainous.
Yeah, but with your love for tabletop games, have you listened to the podcast The Adventure Zone?
Yes, Travis, they're all friends of mine. They're all super friends. I have a bidet in my house that was given to me by Travis McElroy for my birthday. It arrived at my house addressed to Will's Bottom. I think that's a great place for us to end. Thank you so much for your time, everybody.
And as a children's book called Piggy and Pug that we got to look at the Calgary Expo, that if you got kids in your life, if you know kids in your life, it's really wonderful, it's really lovely. There's books. You still have pins available, or they're around. Find them on the internet. But thank you, everyone. Let's hear it one more time for Will Wheaton.